For over a year now, mine and my neighbour's garden has looked a complete mess. And if we take a trip down the side of my house into my workshop, you can see access to the tunnel system I've built, which goes along the side of the house and then into the secret garage, which lies beneath the mess. But I want my drive back. I'm fed up with walking to my front door having to walk across wet tarpaulin. So I say we get this thing covered in rebar and get it concreted up so I can park on it again. So, the task of covering this bad boy up is quite a complicated one. And to show you, we're going to unleash the cover so you can see it in all its glory. Well, this bit anyway. So, we've got the bare roof, the exposed I-beams, and of course all the rebar which comes up the wall. Now, all the rebar for the roof has been delivered and it looks very complicated. Now, I do have a sort of plan, which was printed out on a piece of paper. It was too small to read, so I printed out a bigger piece of paper.
Right, we've got our heads around it now, we understand it. It's essentially, oh, I've dropped the blooming thing. It's essentially a giant puzzle. So, the structural engineer has given me all these little things. It's like a schedule and it's like a funny map which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Wait a minute, Colin. I think people are going to need a better explanation than that. So this is what I've been given by the structural engineer. Initially didn't make that much sense. Yes, I can see on the cross section, that's clearly all the rebar going around and these ties, but it was like the distances, how far are they supposed to go? Well, there's these little corresponding numbers along here, and these are the end of the corresponding numbers is bars, because every bar has been given a number and that determines its length and its thickness. So once you know that, you know that bar mark 13 starts there and ends there, and then there's another 13 which crosses over it and comes over to here. And then if you look everywhere, there's 3s, there's 1s and everything, and it all starts to make sense.
Now, there's two sets of reinforcing that we're doing here. There's a kind of a mesh which goes over the roof and follows the contour of the roof, and then there is the main slab which sits on the top, which is like a giant big rectangle. And we've got all these different shaped bits which all coincide with bits on that. Now, mesh that goes across the roof is just like a normal mesh which we'll build up out of single parts. And then from that, we've got these little hooks. We've got one that sits somewhere up there and another that sits somewhere down there. And that is to tie the roof reinforcement up into the main slab which goes across the top. And those reinforcements, like these hoops here, which go round in here, under there, and then under, you know, over the RSJ. And then it has all these little tie bits which go all over the place, which knit the two levels together. Now, this is not going to make a lot of sense to you until I start doing it. Doesn't make a total amount of sense to me, but I think I know what we're doing. Right.
Up to now, we'd mostly been working with sheets of mesh, so handling it in individual lengths actually seemed a lot easier. It was a little bit tricky in getting it to stay where you wanted to initially, but once you got a load tied together, it was pretty good fun, to be fair. Oh, the old tie gun's really paying for itself now.
Walking away again, I'm not surprised.
I think I've actually done this bit. We've got all the mesh going over the roof, we've got the bits that come up and tie it up. So I think that's that for that. So we can technically concrete this bit now, but we're not going to because we've got to acro prop the ceiling underneath. Now, it's not so bad for this little bit because this is only a small bit, but when we do the whole thing, like the big top slab, especially on the other side, 85 tonne that could weigh if we did it all in one go. It's even been specified to us how we do that. But while I wait for the scaffolding to arrive, I've got myself a little side project in sorting out the temporary car hole cover. Now, our previous method of covering this over was like an 8x4 sheet of wood on some 5x2 frames with some little straps which we'd hook off and walk off to the side, and then they sat on some 8x2 joists, which we'd also pick up and then take elsewhere. Very safe, it was all nice and solid, but of course it's stuck up loads. I don't like that, I want it nice and flat, so as we start concreting this over and getting the drive back to normal, we've not got this big tower monstrosity in the middle. And then also we can put a nice sheet of tarp over it, a single sheet, so it doesn't leak. Beautiful!
In simple terms, what we're doing here is building a ledge a little bit lower to sit our framing on. Yes, Rick. And there we have it, a nice lower ledge of which we can put our cross frames on.
Now, as well as making it look nice so that it'll be nice and flat, there is another reason. When we put the concrete in behind these walls, the concrete's going to want to force this opening and, like, you know, put a lot of pressure on it. So we don't want a banana shape in where the car's going to come out because that would look terrible. So by sticking this, it acts as like a bit of a brace, and that can only be a good thing. Unless, of course, I get a banana-shaped car, then we don't want this.
So with the framing all in place, it's time to put our covers back on. Ah, that's better, Furze. Anyway, who's paying for all this time? Travelling abroad, either for work or holidays, is great, but today's sponsor makes it even better. As soon as you arrive at your new destination, you can be greeted by the message from your native phone provider of how much it's going to now cost to use your roaming data. But with Saily, the sponsor of this video, it's about to get a lot cheaper. Saily's an app that you download and it installs an eSIM onto your phone, and it allows your phone to connect to the local networks at discounted rates. It works on iOS and Android, and of course this means you can use more data with confidence. Think of an eSIM as a virtual SIM card that lets your phone talk to the local networks without going through your native provider. Without this, you would have to buy a phone or a SIM card at the airport or train station and either swap out your original or use a new disposable phone which has none of your contacts on. Once Saily is installed, choose the country you're in and choose what plan suits you best, and then follow the on-screen instructions. You can also buy regional plans, so if you're visiting multiple countries, you can cover them all with one plan, making it even more hassle-free. It covers 190 countries and 8 regions. So, get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use code Colin at checkout, or download the Saily app, or go to saily.com/Colin. Okay, back to the garage, where the scaffoldings arrive. Now, I did think about buying the acro props, but when you can rent them for £2 a week, doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't need them afterwards, so we hired them. 21 acro props later, and we're ready to set them up.
Now, I do have a plan of how these acro props have got to go in. We've essentially got 2 rows of 7, and this specifies the distance they're apart and even the scaffold bars and how it's supposed to be braced to stop them from moving and wobbling all over the place. But the thing is, at the top, they're supposed to have some wooden batons go along the roof, but not any old wood, D30 wood, which turns out is like oak or cedar. Anyway, I got a quote on some of these bits of wood, nearly £1,000. Colin was like, ho, 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 ho. So anyway, I said to the structural dude, like, can't we just use steel? Because surely that can be a lot thinner. You know, we're good with that sort of thing. And he was like, well, yeah, sure. So Newark Steel to the rescue.
It's Newark Steel, the saviour of the day.
Good morning, Mr. Furze. It's nice to see you smiling. We're here, we've made it. Where's the teleporter?
We've not got it.
Now, he was right to be laughing, because these beams, although not completely unmanageable, are heavy. But I'd like to think if the Egyptians had a pair of sack wheels, this is how they'd have moved the rocks for the pyramids.
Couldn't tell that she knew her Vincent's from her.
Oh no, but you can't do bumps.
And that was plain to see. But she could pull a pint, and that was good enough.
So, with steel delivered, we've cut it into lengths and then put that in the room. Now, last thing we need is some plates to fit our steel beams to the top of our acro props. So, I've swift cut some plates out, and I've put slots rather than holes because not all the acro props had the same stud pattern.
I think we've got everything. We've got scaffold poles, we've got acro props, we've got the plates to fix them to our substitute steel beams, and we've got all the clamps to clamp it together. Here goes Acro Prop Day.
Hold me close as I lie dying in your arms and feel the heartbeats in your chest. So grieve for me as I lie dying in your arms. Watch me take
Got all the acros up. I've basically made some angled wedges that have welded to the top of my plate. We shall then weld them to our steel beams and then kind of hoik them up on the ladder, bolt them on, push them up to the ceiling, and then stick all the cross bracing on. Can't help thinking it might be slightly over the top, but it's best to be safe because the last thing we want is a load of concrete coming into the roof. No.
I'll hold you close as you lie dying.
With the plates welded to the steel beams, it's then time to put them on top of the acros, bolt them down, and then wind the acro up to the ceiling.
I swear you one thing that I
Check it's tight, do the rest.
you harm beneath this shroud of burning sky.
Then, while fitting an upper scaffold bar, we noticed something.
We've got some of it up. We're doing very well, only we've made a mistake, haven't we, guys? So this pole here is the pole which is going to go along the back row up there, but of course it's got to go past this row. But it's not past it, is it, Colin? No, it's in front of it. And how are we going to get it past it now? I'm not sure. We're going to have to do a little bit of untwisting and unearthing things. So a slight oversight there, but you know, we're not scaffolders. Now, I'm normally quite good at foreseeing these problems, but not today.
So, with a bit of jiggery and pokery, we sorted that problem out, and then we clamped up to 45 degrees. I'd say that is acro scaffolding done.
Now for a little bit of concreting, and we know what we've got for that. Whoa, Chris baby, bam a lamb. Whoa, Chris baby, bam a lamb. We're gonna bring concrete in this big white bang, gonna pour it in as to my plan. Whoa, Chris baby, bam a lamb. Whoa, Chris baby, bam a lamb. He's a volumetric kind of man. He's gonna bring concrete in his big white bang. Oh yeah!
All right, Colin, that's enough of that.
Excellent, that's got ourselves a nice level platform to work off, which I like. So next up we've got to do the rebar, which wraps around for the roof. Now essentially that's these little hoop things. They go around the RSJs and then they weave into the wall rebar, but there's a couple of things to consider. The bottom level is a lot thicker, it's 16mm rebar, the top's 12. This, if you can imagine, when something wants to be stretched downwards, the bottom layer is going to get stretched, the top one's going to get compressed, so the bottom layer is thicker. And then the only other thing we need to think about is these are 150 centres and the walls are 200 centres, so they're not all going to hit each one of the bars, which I'm told is fine. Don't like it. I think my OCD is going to look at it and think it looks wrong, but don't worry about it, Colin. Apparently it's fine. Right, back to the old rebar puzzle.
And of course, all puzzles have pieces. You got your forward, your backwards bendy bits across the roof, you got your horizontal bendy bits. There's the main slab ends, and then there's the thick main slab bottoms and the thin main slab tops. Now we just need to work out the best order to put them in so they don't get all caught on themselves.
So these bar mark 3s in the end there, both sides, and then this 16mm one. So that goes, yeah, they cross over enough then. Yeah. That's all right. And then the only thing I think we've got is, can we get all these in? Oh yeah, because there's only, yeah, and then spin them round. Yeah. And in there, so I think we want to put all the hoops in first, because then all the other bars can be slotted down and laid on top of them. Okay.
So with a lot of and ahhing, I think we've got a system.
All right.
I'll do all the close-up shots of what we've just said so you can understand it all.
Okay.
Because you can't see from there what I'm pointing at, can you? Making these videos takes just as long as making the actual thing.
And of course, with this being rebar, nothing is as easy as it should be.
About 10:30 Monday morning. We've got Chris Bibby booked in for Wednesday. We may be being a little bit optimistic we're getting all this done. under the thing here. Sorry everybody, you got moved.
Right, it's got the bottom done, it's got the sides done, just got to do the top now and the joiny bits. Bit of an awkward job, rebarring. If you ever meet anyone that says they do rebarring for a living, or ladies, if you ever gone on a date with someone that says they do rebar for a living, if they seem a bit short and on edge, just give them a little bit of space. They've been fighting sharp bits of metal and stuff all day. It's looking very nice. Then, after the final pieces are placed in, it's finally finished. Okay, that's got the rebar done. I think I've made a lovely job of that. You can walk on it. It doesn't, like, you know, flex around or anything. It's pretty good. I still hate the stuff, but never mind. Now, a few extra things we've done is we've extended the sump pump outlet, so that goes off towards the soakaway, and also I put some little cable ducts in, because obviously once there's a car ramp there, it's going to need sensors and stuff, so if anybody comes anywhere near it, the whole thing just shuts off. So I've done that. We've got some little bits of extra polythene to go in, because this has all got a little bit scuffed, and all that's left to do now is cover it in concrete. Chris Bibber style. No, Colin, that is enough of that. Please shut up. Right, with that bit done and covered up, it's now time to go on to the other side of the drive. Today feels like another milestone day. We're going to start clearing this part of the drive, which means this bit of steel here, which has been covering it up since, like, I don't know, last February. Tom's going to come and remove that. But just to prove how wet this job was last year, there is a puddle that sat in the middle of that bit of steel. That has never dried up. That puddle formed last February, and it has never dried up since. It went all through the summer and was still there. Right, let's get all this off. Get all the sheets off, get all the bits of wood off, and then we need to kind of figure out how we're going to temporarily cover it up again, because we can't just leave it off just in case somebody comes and walks in, falls down the hole. So we still need to be able to cover it, but we need to be able to lift it on and off like we have done the rest of it, so we can get access to it. And then we start rebarring and concrete. You know the drill. Lovely sunny day, excellent. Removing these panels felt like real progress. I've not seen this part of the garage for like 6 months. I know it's only a small detail, but it felt good. So it's just occurred to me, you probably can't remember what this metal sheet was for. Well, essentially, when we first started digging this garage, we started digging by hand, and we were going to put this metal platform over the drive and then dig under it. So I designed it to take the weight of a vehicle, but that's not quite how things planned out. So today we're taking it away because we can't move it without a teleangler. And once it's gone, finally I can see the roof of the garage again, and boy does it need cleaning. Now, as well as dust, there is also some water to get rid of. So finally, I bought myself one of these. I've been saying about getting one of these for ages, and at the end of the job nearly, we finally bought one. The tool in question is a wet vacuum. Now, you'd think as an ex-plumber I'd have one of these, but I haven't. And this is not the first time we've had to vacuum any water up, but I was just too tight. We should have bought one of these ages ago! Yes, you should have, Colin, but you were just too tight and didn't want to spend that £39. Here you go! So, with that all dried up, we just need to chimble off some of the extra concrete and tidy the whole thing up. But I know what some of you are thinking, Colin, it's all gone rusty. Well, I've told you before, concrete protects the steel, and here is a perfect example of how. Now, you lot are always worrying about rust, but I keep telling you, you don't need to worry about it because the concrete protects the steel from rusting. And even the rusty steel, once the concrete's gone over it, it stops it getting any worse. And I can prove it to you. Wherever we've had a bit of steel and we've got dripped concrete on it, if I chimble this bit of concrete under it, no, if I chimble this bit of concrete off, you'll see underneath, it's not rusty. Look at that! Look at it! Look at that, look! Yes, Colin, don't gloat. But oh, look at the garage. We can finally see it in all its glory. Okay, before we cover this in rebar and concrete, we've had to consider the electric. So I've put this little 2-inch duct in here, ready for a brand new cable to be dropped into the garage. Now, of course, drilling a hole through a curved roof is not very easy, but I've got a bit of wood, wedged it up, put the hole saw through that, drilled through it, and then the kind of bit of wood is like a collar then, which holds the hole saw in position while it goes through the sheet metal at an angle, holds it all nice and steady. Beautiful.
I then welded a short piece of pipe in which we could attach a plastic pipe to for further ducting, but I forgot to tell you that.
So we've got that in there, but we need to consider the future, because obviously that's going to be a supply for the garage. But once this whole underground tunnel system becomes one, I only want one electric supply. So the bunker, which is fed by a cable which comes out the back of my fuse board, goes all the way down the back garden. That will go off, and then the tunnel, which is fed from the shed, eventually that will get disconnected as well, and it'll all be off that cable.
So with that sorted, we're now going back to the world of rebar. Nah. Now, with this being slightly bigger, it was marginally easier, but of course we had a water main, a gas main, and an electric cable to thread round, so it kind of all evened itself out. Now, this looks fantastic, but before I cover this in concrete, I need to sort the scaffolding out again.
So, all the acro props, of course, are under that part of the ceiling, but we need it under this part of the ceiling. Now, it took us just over a day messing around putting all that up. We don't want to take it all down, so we're going to cheat the system. We've got a plan.
Yes, a genius plan using these little trolley car wheelie things.
So, we're going to get our little car trolleys, slide them underneath with a bit of wood on, jack them up, lower it onto the piece of wood, do that both ends, and then hopefully we can pull the whole thing across on wheels. Now, this could be one of those ideas that is way more hassle than actually taking the whole thing to bits and moving it individually. But this seems more fun.
The moment of true furze. Is it going to work, or is it just going to fall over in a big heap? Slowly and steadily, we started to move it. All you scaffolders that were laughing that it took us a whole day to put up, look at us now clawing the time back. Oh, simply lovely work, Colin. Then, after adding an extra row of acro props, it's time to get a cup of barrows and Chris Bibby back in.
No, Colin.
No, nothing as broad as the rules that can hold me down. Hold me down. Not afraid to defend myself and scream the ceiling.
Charlotte has arrived with shopping. She has to walk the plank.
Yeah, it's not easy living with Colin, is it?
Your bread. Got your milk for a cup of tea.
Look at that. Easy.
Now, before we can progress any further, we need to sort this gas pipe out. This Irish J should be sat on this pad here, but the gas pipe runs diagonally across the drive, meaning we can't move it over to the right anymore. Now, I'm not allowed to touch this part of the gas main, so we've got to get the gas board involved. Now, I'd like to point out they didn't arrive backwards, I just didn't film them arriving. Now, this is a dangerous procedure. They'll be cutting this gas pipe off live with gas still flowing through it. So the person in question needs to be calm, have a steady head and be well organised. Look at this van, look! What the hell's going on here? This is Andy. Andy likes taking roundabouts at 70 miles an hour. And then I started singing him a song. I do apologise, people. I don't know why I do it.
He's not a flash man. He's the local gas man. And he'll come and move your gas pipe if you ask him.
So, with it cut off and capped off, we could finally move our beam into place. Thank you, Andy. You did a fantastic job. Now go and tidy your van. Right, now we've got to sort this gate area out.
Okay, there's quite a lot to do around here, quite a lot going on, because we've got the sump pump drain, we've got the drain from the car lid, the RSJ's got to be put back in position, and we need to sort out the drain for the main driveway. So I think rather than struggling around underneath, I might as well just bite the bullet and chop this whole bit out so we can get to what we're doing. Now, when there was a giant hole here, I was always worried that people standing on this would break away and fall off, and they'd end up falling to their death into the hole. But oh my god, would this thing not come off? And with Freddy's supervision, the gas pipe is gone. Right, we've got the electric cable exposed, the gates are wobbling, everything's around here, and we've just got to do a bit more chopping.
Turn around, walk away, baby, just let it go. And you're looking at me, 'cause baby, you wanna show, let go.
Right, it's got the area cleared, just got to weld this beam in place. You've got to be careful bending round down here, because you can get violated by a bit of rebar. Now, I've put these little green caps on it. I'm not sure if that's just making the situation worse. And now with the beams where they should be, it's time to turn this area into Spaghetti Junction. Now what we've got in here is the rainwater from the house, the main drain of the drive, the drain from the rim of where the cars come out, the outlet of the sump pump, the gas pipe will pass through here, the electric main is in here, and also there's an outlet for my bathroom sink. There's a lot going on here, which now leads me to a sentence I've been waiting to say for a long time. And now for the final time, rebar. This is it. After this is done, the stuff can absolutely do one. I don't know if I've said before, but I'm not really very keen on rebar. It is the simplest of jobs. You just lay in flat lengths of bar over each other and tie them together. But they get hooked up on everything, they get stuck on everything, and it really does just test you. Now, it's not all rebarring. We've got to shutter off areas we don't want filling with concrete, and we've also got to lay in our new gas pipe. Now, as well as a new pipe, it also has to go inside a duct. And I found the best way to thread a pipe into a duct is by putting a massive heavy bit of stainless rod on the end, so you can just push it straight through and it guides itself nicely without getting caught on all the ribs of the sleeve. A beautiful tip there, Colin. We then weave this in the rebar mesh, which of course isn't finished yet. Here I am, 2.5 days into the rebarring. I'm still rebarring. Yeah, this is serious now. Okay, it's now the 5th day of doing this. Now, I wasn't here all day yesterday. I was up at the barn in the morning. But still, I am officially definitely fed up with rebar now. And I think, if anything, the secret thing of this garage is not the secret garage, it's when's it going to be finished is the biggest secret. Now, the only thing we have got that's gone wrong today is this has broke, or something's not happening with it. It just will not work. Never works. So, I'm going to see if I can try and fix this, because this is a massively important tool on this job at the minute. Okay, so what's happening? This little bit here is flicking out, and it's not making its circle, which then gets grabbed by the little tie thing. Elastic bands round there seems to have fixed it. Hey! With the tool fixed, I could finish the rebar, and finally, the last tie went on. so glad I don't have to touch any more rebar anymore. I cannot tell you how pleasing that is. Now then, obviously we've got to cover it in concrete. Chris Bibby's going to come and fill this up. But we was going to do this in 2 halves because we've only got scaffolding on this half of the room. But the 3 reasons why we don't want to do that. A, don't have to do it twice. B, we don't really want to join in it. And C, it'd be quite difficult to actually divide it up with like our foam board stuff and then be able to get that out to do the other side. So, just ordered some more scaffolding and we've scaffolded up the other side of the room. It's pretty hectic down there for scaffolding, but obviously we've got to have it because if we pour this all in one go, I think I've worked it out, it's going to be about 55 tonnes worth of concrete. So, that's what we've got to do. Chris Bibby's going to want 2 wagon loads, so him and Colin will be here. And this is kind of like the final Chris Bibby pour. What are we going to do? I mean, he's got his own song and everything. Chris Bibby!
And we blow down all the hatches, and we roll down the blinds, and we blow down all the hatches. Sometimes I'd rather be blind than to have to see you cry. Share of bumps and knocks, and he took them on his chin. But time doesn't stop when his duty knocks, you don't have to let them in. Look through the hole and peer beyond of an older time we all feel fond of. Is there room for a smile? We sang goodbye fairly well until the sun was coming up. We sang goodbye fairly well until those things were looking up. We sang goodbye fairly well. Rearrange yourself.
So, with the concrete set, I'm finally nearly got a drive back. I've even put our names in it. Now, it's going to want a good week to set before I go driving on it, so I'm going to use this time to tidy up lots of little jobs. First up, where the concrete meets the steel, where the car lift's going to come out, I thought it'd be good to put a little bit of extra protection on it. So we got some black bitumen paint and went all along this seam. Then we put an extra layer of protective membrane over it in preparation for a new fence. The original fences from the neighbourhood were these white 2-rail picket fences, and I like these. Some people have still got them, so I'm going to replicate this, but I'm not going to do it in wood, I'm going to make it out of steel. I've started by bolting some plates to the floor, sticking the posts on, getting them all lined up and welding it all up.
You know you'll never live.
Now, I know a lot of you don't have the equipment to make a fence out of steel, and wood, of course, is far easier, but it does make a beautiful fence. Give it a nice coat of white paint, put the curb engines in, drop some gravel down the other side of it. I'm sold! Metal fences for the win! Next up is the ventilation pipe. Before we did all the rebar in, we actually exposed the pipe as it came out the ground and attached a small piece of plastic to it. We've now extended that along, up, inside the garage, then out of the steel roof with a cap on it. And then the gas board arrived to connect the gas pipe up.
Now, it's not Andy today. What do you think Andy's been sent to tidy his van up? Because look at this, look. This is what it's supposed to look like.
This time they have to dig up the whole path to expose the gas pipe which feeds the whole neighbourhood. Then again, using breathing equipment, they take the old connection piece out and put a new connection piece in which they can attach the new plastic pipe to. Then they use this rather intimidating tool to kind of force its way underneath my path to guide the pipe through to where it needs to be. Oh my God, look at this thing go. Come on everybody, take your thoughts out of the gutter. So with the gas reconnected, I think it's now time to take all these acro props down. Now, some of them seem to be under more tension than others. Some of them come straight undone, some were under a little bit more pressure. And this was another one of those jobs we thought we'd get done in no time. Took us all day getting this lot back out again. Even devised a genius winch system using the back of the van. Very cunning, Colin.
Look at it.
And now with the concrete set, we've removed our cover where the car's going to go down so we can properly see the roof, because I think now is the time to drive on it for the first time.
And what better first vehicle than the old Hilux?
Now, I was never worried that the whole thing was going to collapse, but I was very excited to be able to do this after such a long time.
I finally got to drive!
And just to make sure there was no issues, I put up my lighting pole right up to the ceiling, drove on and see if there was any deflection.
Absolutely nothing.
And there we are, that's a milestone passed.
Okay, so that's the main construction of it done. Obviously the top surface, the finished layer is not on there. So the next jobs are all back inside. Okay, there's the 3D printed rock wall, sort of on that. Then I need to make a door, it needs a fire door, it's a garage. And then of course the most exciting part is then I've got to build the car lift. And then once the car lift's installed, I can then start doing the rest of the room, like with the workbenches, the floor level, and then of course the top surface can go on, and then we're done. So I feel like we're in a slightly different phase of things now, because it's all internal and it's like the appliances, the fixtures and fittings. Now then, special thanks to Newark Steel. They have supplied the steel for this project. As you can see, it is a huge and expansive room. Thank you so much for them. So if you want steel, go and get it from Newark Steel or the Barrett Steel group. Also, thanks to the people that supplied the aluminium tracking that went on next door's drive. That was absolutely so useful. Tom could track about that on the digger. It was way better. Excellent. What a fantastic idea. And of course, thanks to you guys for following on this epic project. I feel like you've all been on this journey with me, and when I look back at previous videos where I'm like getting bits to drop into bits, it's like crazy how far this has come. I know it's probably going to be over like a 2-year period by the time it's finished, but still, what a project. Right, now I'm going to leave you with an unedited version of my attempt at the Chris Bibby song. I'm sorry, but I thought I've got to have a go, ain't I? Subscribe. See you in the next one. Whoa, Chris Bibby, bam a lamb. Whoa, Chris Bibby, bam a lamb. They're gonna bring concrete in this big white bang, gonna pour it in as to my plan. Whoa, Chris Bibby, bam a lamb. Whoa, Chris Bibby, bam a lamb. He's a volumetric kind of man. He's gonna bring concrete in his big white bang. Oh yeah!